J.K. Dobbins tore his ACL. Are they concerned right now about potentially serious injuries after practice today?
Yeah, just a devastating day for the Baltimore Ravens. His colleague Mike Garafolo and I are reporting two key players, two starters, and really two of their best players, both went down with what was described to us as significant knee injuries on back-to-back plays. Gus Edwards, who is expected to be the starting running back after the injury to J.K. Dobbins, he is feared to have torn his ACL during practice today. Another key player, Marcus Peters, the Pro Bowl cornerback, one of their best players on defense, also tore his ACL, potentially, according to a source, at practice today. They went on back-to-back plays, and at that point, John Harbaugh cut practice short and essentially sent everyone inside. Now, Mike, both of these players are going to undergo tests to confirm the injury, but nothing is good about this. One of the more snake-bitten teams this year just had another very, very difficult day.
Every year you seem to have one of these teams, the 49ers last year, where it was just injury on top of injury on top of injury, and you look back and you said they were nowhere near as bad as their record indicated. It was just that run of injuries that absolutely devastated the roster. Are the Ravens going to be that team? I mean, it looks like they're on their way at this point after the injury to J.K. Dobbins, who coincidentally underwent successful ACL repair earlier this week. Sounds like that went well, and the damage wasn't as bad as it really could have been, so they're hopeful that Dobbins will be ready for the start of the 22 season. But before we get there, we've got to figure out what this backfield is going to look like in 2021. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell, who was signed to the practice squad, he now gets thrust into the conversation behind Tyson Williams, the young back that when Dobbins went down, they said, hey, we like this Tyson Williams a lot. Well, it's one thing to mix him in there, to have him in there with Gus Edwards, who's experienced. Now, he may potentially have to be the lead back for this week and beyond. So he better be as good as they think he is going to be. This is just devastating news right now for this Ravens backfield as they try to prepare for the Raiders on Monday night. Maybe that's the one glimmer of hope here, is they've got an extra day to prepare for this game.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, with all due respect, a ton of hope here, Mike, but I will say this. This is a resilient team. John Harbaugh is a grizzled veteran, has been through probably everything you could ever imagine. It is early in the season. This team, I do believe, will persevere through this, but you just can't overstate how difficult it is going to be. That's basically their entire running back room. Trent Cannon, who also worked out for them earlier in this week, he signed, was expected to add some special teams help. He might see carries this week too, and Devontae Freeman, the veteran, who's bounced around a little bit the last couple weeks, was spent some time with the Saints, obviously became a star with the Atlanta Falcons. He also worked out for them. Could they potentially sign him as well? Either way, for an offense that really is predicated on running the ball and keep running the ball and doing it creatively, they're going to have to find some sort of running back now, not what John Harbaugh and this Ravens staff wanted to do right before the season. Yeah, but also an offense that's trying to evolve, and they've talked about it, doing things a little bit differently than they've done the last couple of years. Well, now they were without Lamar Jackson for the start of camp, so that's some missed reps there. And then you're repping with Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Those guys are now out of it, so maybe that throws your offensive rhythm off as you're trying to, as I mentioned, evolve so that you could become more multiple and give the opposing defenses more to worry about. Then you just go to the other side. I understand that Marlon Humphrey is there as well, but to be able to have two corners in Humphrey and Peters allowed you to do so many things on the back end of this defense. Well, now you lose Peters. You still have some depth there, Jimmy Smith, some other guys that you can believe in at the cornerback position, but it's just a huge loss to have Marcus Peters go down, a guy that you paid a good amount of money to recently. It's just back-to-back plays and the way that players saw it. That's the other thing. What's this going to do for player morale? I know the players were absolutely devastated to see this go down and the way that practice ended. John Harbaugh is now going to have to work on his players' psyche after they witnessed that, because they were saying things like, never seen anything like that before.
And again, to paint the picture of just how dominant those guys had been on offense, it's the only team in football last year that had 3 players rush for 700 or more yards. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, 2 of the 3, with Lamar obviously being perhaps the lone guy that remains here to open the season.